having that person behind you.
Oh yeah, 100%. If I didn't have Jen, and with the way she's looked after me and does on a daily basis, that drive wouldn't be there anymore.
Before we get into today's episode, don't forget to like, share and subscribe to the Open Doors, Open Mind YouTube channel. Don't forget to follow us on Spotify and on our other social media platforms, Instagram, Facebook and now TikTok. Links to all will be in the description below.
So, boys and girls at home, don't take a week off because everything backs up and you put in wrong dates. Obviously, I've set up the cameras by myself today. I forgot to tell Daniel the right date today. Just as well, the guest, Richard, has remembered to turn up on the right day. Yeah, well.
A lot of that was probably down to a phone call this morning, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Are we still on for today? Oh.
It's when you sent me the message, I was like, yeah. I completely forgot about it. So, obviously, tell the people at home who you are and what do you do.
So, as Scott just said, I'm Richie. I approached Scott in regards to Open Doors, Open Minds, and hopefully bringing something to the table that I know he's been looking for a while. And that so happens to be a passion or an obsession, as it may be.
I would have said obsession, but yeah.
Yeah, if you ask the wife, she'd definitely say obsessed. And that's carp fishing. So it's bringing that level of carp fishing or that interest in carp fishing into the rebuilding of a mental health perspective.
Correct. Yeah, because what is it called?
So basically, this is where it was all up and down in the air. We sat for hours. There's 2 or 3 of us trying to figure out best way to move forward, what to call it. And yeah, all in all, it came up with the name Castaway Stress.
Castaway Stress.
Yep.
Obviously, it took off. Took off fishing.
Yep.
Got more popular in COVID.
Massively.
Massive. Well, I would have said that. Even I contemplating doing it because that was the only thing you could get out to do, and that's the only thing the government. So even the government has kind of realised that you need to get back to nature, and because it's not just about catching the fish; it's about your environment, the peacefulness.
Well, it's not even just the government that's done that; it's doctors.
Yeah,
doctors now are prescribing and telling people to go fishing.
Correct.
And I will vouch for that because the doctor that has been dealing and helping me with everything that I've got going on and still got going on, it's the one thing she told me never to stop.
Yeah, I agree with that. I can, from knowing you for a period of time and watching what it means to you, obviously, with your PTSD, and how when it gets a bit tough, you can go and have that escape and put your brain back together, and that's your way of coping, right?
Well, it's even when we've had meetings and we've done it as a video link call. First thing I say to you is, if I have to leg it, it's one of my bar alarms going off. Because I'm by a lake. It's become my second home.
Yeah.
And the wife fully appreciates why.
Does she fully appreciate it?
Yes. She knows the difference when I don't go to when I've been. One thing she didn't understand at the beginning was the time it took.
Yeah, because you go for long periods of time, right?
Yeah, but this is where, luckily for me and the wife compromise.
Yeah.
Obviously, we're married. We've got 3 kids. We've got a big house move coming up. A complete career change for myself coming up. There's a lot on.
Oh yeah, you're juggling a fair few plates at the moment, aren't you?
Yeah. So having that ability to escape for 24 hours, 48 hours, if family life allows, it's golden. But even to the point now where, because I'm lucky, I've got a stretch of the river, which is right on my doorstep. Once the
Is that the one me and you were looking at the other day?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, younger 2 goes to bed. Wife's happy, she's at home, she's chilled. Eldest is out with one of her friends. I can go for the night. And I'm back in the morning before my younger two even need to start getting ready for school. Because it's literally a 5-minute drive.
That's not bad.
Yeah, it works out very well.
So, obviously, your wife has had to obviously put up with you. And you know what I mean by that. Obviously, we were talking about this before we went on air. There will be an episode of basically his wife, how living with somebody with complex PTSD and how it affects her mental health and what actually really happens behind the scenes and how she helps you and what she can do. Obviously, we've got a lot going on with obviously Castaway Stress, linking up with Open Doors. We've been very busy. We've now can do the tutoring side of the fishing. We can take you down there. We can supply you with the food, the bait, the
rods, reels, bivvy, bed, landing net, unhooking mat, the lot.
So we can do all that for you. What can they expect on the day of doing that?
All depends on the individual.
Okay.
Obviously, we've had these conversations about where that individual is on the mental health spectrum.
Yes.
And also where I am on that particular day.
Yep.
Because I can't put myself in a position where I know I'm not at my having a good day to then attempt to help someone else. It's not fair. No. That individual will not be getting the help they need. They'll be put in a position where it's not beneficial. But obviously we will manage that anyway, because we'll only be doing things when it's right. But as when that individual turns up, if I have to pick them up, whatever it may be, initially it'll just be a good old chat.
Yep.
Whilst walking around the lake, we'll have a chat. Or the river, whatever it may be, we'll just have a talk, see what's going on, see where we're at, what they want to do, what they're willing and happy to talk about. And then from there, moving into getting set up and at some point during that day actually getting the rods out. But if it's a sport that they've never even touched and not been involved in, we'll go right to the basics. How to set the rod up. How to set it up safely, which is a big, big important thing.
Okay.
End of the day, it's someone's livelihood that we're playing with. If you're on a lake, someone's bought those fish. I need to make sure that I'm teaching the correct things for the correct way in order to maintain that individual stock and make sure they're looked after whilst we're doing it.
I never thought of that.
Yeah, there's a lot goes behind it. It's not just a case of lob a rod out.
Catch a fish.
Yeah. Which you're going to find out next week. Even though you've wimped out it in the night.
It's when you sent me the picture of this is your bed for the night. I was like, oh my God, what am I doing?
That's the brand new one I've got.
That's the brand new one?
Yeah.
Well, I'd hate to see the old one then.
Well, literally, that's brand new. Never even been slept in yet.
I reckon I'm wider than that bed.
No, you're not.
No, is it just the way the picture looks?
Yeah. You wait till you see the bivvy that you've got to try and get in.
Bivvy?
Yeah.
Isn't that the tent thing?
Yeah.
You're selling this to me really well.
I know I am. You can take your 5-star hotel. You ain't going to get that.
Oh, my God. I suppose it's best to do it while there's a heat wave, right?
Yeah, well, hopefully it's not going to be as hot next week.
So does the temperature change for how fish is?
Yeah.
So if it's cold or really, really hot, the fish act different, I suppose?
Yeah. Yeah, there is a science behind it. I don't want to really go too much into it. People
Science for fish.
Boring and
that could be a whole different episode.
Yeah, I don't really want to get into that. I'm no specialist in that area. I know what I need to know.
So how long have you been fishing then?
Since I was 4 years old.
Since you were 4?
Yeah. Literally, my dad and my granddad taught me how to fish on the River Trent back home in Nottingham. Stick float fishing, trotting, all that kind of gear. And then it's just progressed from catching minnows and roach, perch, whatever it may be, to now I'm actually targeting what I want to catch.
So yeah, for the skills. So my question for you then, so obviously when your mental health is bad,
Yep.
and you're having a bad day, how do you get yourself ready for fishing and then go fishing? Like what? So if obviously I've seen you, like when you've been triggered, and how do you deal with that to go to obviously fishing? Obviously we all know, and obviously the government and people know that it will help you. But how do you get yourself mentally in the right place to go? And when you're there, how does it actually help you?
A lot of it depends on how bad I actually am. First things first, Jen.
So having that person behind you.
Oh yeah, 100%. If I didn't have Jen, and with the way she's looked after me and does on a daily basis, that drive wouldn't be there anymore. So yeah, me and her talk constantly. Try and laugh on a daily basis, minimum, and there's always something stupid that happens. And then, if need be, I mean, Christ, how many times have I phoned you?
It's having the right support people around you, right?
So I'll make them calls, have them conversations, get myself in a position where I'm then able to get in the van and drive to the venue.
Yep. I can,
but the van's always loaded.
Yeah, but so obviously for the people at home that have never fished or don't quite understand, what is it from being at the lake, at the river, the fishing? What does it actually do for your mental health?
You're back to nature is one of the easiest ways of putting it. You're out in the open. Well, I mean, let's talk about next week. Because obviously, we're going away Sunday, Monday, Tuesday night, coming back Wednesday. Obviously, you're not. But I am going to talk you into doing 24 hours minimum, if not an overnighter.
I'm quite up for the fishing part. It's the overnight bit.
Yeah, but that's the easier bit.
Really?
Yeah.
That's the easier bit.
It's not just about, like you say, it's not just about being there. Within the angling world, you make connections. There's always one thing in common. Yeah. You all like the fishing.
So that's kind of your pub then, a bit like I go to the gym and I treat that as that's my pub, my social life, my connections. Yeah. That's what you're getting from the fishing as well, right?
It is to a degree. However, I'm a member on a certain venue. I can't mention it because it is zero publicity. I can go there for 2-3 nights and not see anyone. It's bliss.
So sometimes you appreciate people being around you, and other times it's just about you getting
certain places, certain things. It becomes my Narnia. It's like going through that wardrobe door and you're in a different world. That's what happens when I get to certain venues. I can not forget, but my mind can subdue what's going. Subdue what's going on because I'm concentrating.
So it's calming your brain down as well at the same time.
100%.
So you're not in fight or flight mode when you're there. You're kind of like, right, this is me time.
Yeah.
The rest of the world.
Yeah.
So how do you think Jen deals with that?
I mean, don't get me wrong. Jen's taken on more than anyone could ever imagine, I think. She'll probably go more into it when she does that podcast with herself and obviously yourself.
I just want to see your opinion. I want to see what...
I know at times I'm very, very difficult to live with. And I fully appreciate that. And I sometimes have to get checked back into my box. And she is not afraid to do that.
I can see that.
But the bonus is we always compromise. That's one of the things that really work. And to be fair, it sometimes gives her time to herself.
So do you think...
So I take the 3 kids with me. Sometimes, not every time, because I couldn't do that. But I will take the kids out for 24 hours. They love it.
Yeah. So, but obviously your mental health must have an effect on the household, right?
Massively.
Including their mental health and how... obviously, because obviously there's certain people like myself, when my mental health was bad and I didn't quite realise what was going on, and it'd been going on for years, and I affected the ex-wife, the house, everyone around me. What do you think you're doing, or what is it that you're not doing that makes it work, that because obviously you must, obviously I've seen you triggered and I've seen how she deals with you and all the rest of it, but that didn't just happen overnight.
No.
Do you get what I mean? It's not like people just, I can pick up on the signs. And
I think one of the big differences is I was open and honest with Jen from the beginning. Me and Jen met on Tinder.
I was hoping you was going to bring that up.
I'm going to have to bring it up.
Alex, this one's for you, my friend.
So, yeah, we actually met on Tinder. I'll let her go into the full ins and outs of it and all that. But yeah, 2.5 years down the line, we're married.
Okay.
And she's become the most amazing stepmom to my 3 kids. When we first met, I explained to her what was going on personally with myself. And I was a dad of 3. I was going through a custody battle in court to get not access, but custody of my children. And I think we'd been together about 4 months or so. And I said, look, this is going to turn messy. The court process is dragging out. I will never hold it against you if you walk away now. And she told me to shut up.
And she stood there.
And she stayed.
You can't ask for a better woman than that.
No.
So, just obviously because we're talking about mental health, I know you've watched, because that's what you brought that up.
Yeah.
So you've watched the last podcast. Alex brought up a good point about dating apps.
Yep.
Obviously, you're one of the success stories, I would say. But what do you think of dating apps?
Ooh, controversial.
Because obviously you met your wife for it.
Yeah. It worked for that reason. That's the sole reason why I went on it. Once, I'd separated and divorced from my ex-wife and so on and so forth.
So look, just because obviously certain people, viewers and that have asked questions. So obviously I know where you're going with it. But as a straight male guy, that obviously has gone through a divorce, what is it that you wanted from the app?
Initially?
Yeah.
Didn't know.
So why go on it then in the first place?
Purely for the fact that, and it was one of my friends that I've served with, that we was away on exercise, finished the exercise, and then we had, I think, about 4 or 5 days doing adventure training. So we all ended up in a pub, and he was like, mate, I'm fed up with you moping about. Give me your phone.
What, and he set it up for you?
And he actually set it up, yeah.
And that's how you met Jen?
Eventually, yeah.
So how long was you on it for then?
Oh, I don't know. I was on and off. I got bored and deleted it, done it again. And
so it didn't mess with you? Cause,
no, it did. Because I actually met someone before Jen.
Yeah.
It just wasn't to be. So, yeah.
Yes, see, that's I kind of agree with Alex, but I also agree because there are obviously success stories and people are married like yourself.
I think they are few and far between.
Because I do feel like it's preyed on straight guys, loneliness, and if you're in the wrong place mentally when you go on to that, I feel like it could damage you further.
Yeah. I mean, it was my housemate at the time that I lived with. He basically turned around and said, "You're looking too hard. You're looking. All you want is that level of to be loved."
Yeah.
And he was right.
You're looking for a connection.
Yeah. I was forcing the issue. And at that moment in time, if I was showing any attention or anything like that, I was like, straight away. I then went back onto it when I was single again with no preconceived ideas at all. And then, end up talking to Jen.
And that was more... So if your mental health was bad, or you was at a certain stage of that journey, do you feel like the app would have done you more damage?
I used it as a distraction. Massive distraction.
From what was going on around you.
Yeah, 100%. Because at that time I met Jen, we weren't talking that long on Tinder.
Mm-hmm.
We exchanged numbers within a week or so, 2 weeks or so, something like that. And then from there, it just progressed and progressed.
So how long have you been married now?
We got married in March this year.
Ooh. So she's put up with you all this time?
Yeah, and not just me.
And your kids?
And the 3 kids.
I think you're more the problem than the kids are, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I would have
kid in
said
the house.
yeah. I would have said so as well. No, in certain situations I've seen you in. So the dating apps and fishing and all the rest of it, that kind of goes well, right? Because you could do the fishing and the dating app all at the same time, right?
Oh, yeah. I'd be lying if I said that during that time of being single, I was not sat in the bank going, yeah, go on, just whatever.
Yeah, because
the
it's
numbers
another
game.
distraction.
Yeah, playing the numbers game.
Play the numbers game.
Yeah, and that's what it was. Initially, that's what it is. Isn't it?
Yeah.
For any straight bloke, that's what it is.
So did you have any bad experiences on them? Like, well,
No.
what I call wackadoodles.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I found either they, like, even friends, like even my mate Steve, who's watched it, and he's like, he messaged me in the morning and said, I'd love to come on and have a conversation. He said, I'm on 6 different dating apps, 6 different ones, and you can have he's had one girl, same picture, different names on all of them.
Oh, yeah.
Messaging him saying exactly the same sentences, everything, and you said it's all fake.
Yeah, 100%.
He said you very rarely
Yep.
get a real person.
Yeah.
Because the algorithm has to keep it going, otherwise you'll lose interest and you won't pay.
Well, yeah, 100%. I mean, this is one of the things I never paid for it. I'm
I
too
thought you had to pay for Tinder, do you
No,
know?
no. That's only if you go, whatever it's called, premium, whatever. I put blunt reviews, I'm too tight-fisted. I'd rather spend...
So Jen was quite lucky she got through then,
no,
right?
I'd rather spend my money on fishing kit than bloody Tinder.
Jen, did you hear that? He was too tight to pay for Tinder to get to you.
Well, you'll learn more about it when you speak to Jen about it, but me and Jen were actually talking for a fair while, and then Jen came off of it all.
Did you scare her that much?
Weren't me.
Oh, so she's had... So
she,
I think we
again,
need
she
to have
had
that conversation then.
bad experiences and whatever. Life got in the way and all that. And then, yeah, excuse me, she came back on it. And it wasn't until about between 3 and 5 months of actually me and Jen seriously dating and seeing each other that she actually realised it was... She told me this, I didn't even realise, that it was me that she was speaking to previously because she remembered...
Certain things.
Was married, 3 kids, 2 of which were double-barreled names, and was serving.
Yeah, the likelihood of having all of that in one place.
Yeah, and then it clicked. So, yeah, here we go.
Oh, that's quite a good... See, Alex, there are pros and cons.
Yeah. One thing I will agree with him,
Go on.
women do hold the power.
Yeah.
100%.
But could you blame it if you was a
No.
woman? I think, right, so I truly, and I'm probably going to get shot down for this, I think women have always had the power.
When it concerns stuff like that, yeah, 100%.
Right, okay, I'll go back to your mental health.
Yep.
You've got a strong woman behind you, and if you, okay, do you think you'd be further on your journey or less further on your journey with your mental health, with or without Jen?
That's so easy to answer.
I can pretty much guess it, but
Yeah.
go on.
With how badly I was struggling, yeah.
So having basically a strong woman in your
Having
corner.
Jen, and with what Jen has done for me, my life has changed.
So having a strong woman in your corner, that's
100%.
Right.
100%. And like she says, she doesn't need me. She wants me.
I think women have always had the power. Men just didn't. So power to men is running a country. Right. Yeah, okay, society, if men disappeared tomorrow, it's the world would grind to a halt. Because obviously no one's doing the manual work, no one's doing the building, no one. But women
But would
are.
it?
How wouldn't it?
I mean, correct me if I'm wrong.
Okay.
World War Two,
Yep.
men deployed to fight. Everything that was being done in the UK at that time was being done by women.
Oh, I'm not saying that they're not possible, but if men disappeared right now within this society, bricklayers would disappear, trades would disappear, all the manual stuff.
Yeah.
99.9% of the manual stuff in the world that's done is done by men. I'm not saying women can't do it. I'm saying they don't do it. They do a whole...
Yeah, well, there is that perception, is that this is what men do, this is what women do.
Yeah, man's... what else am I actually saying? Men's jobs, women's jobs.
Yeah.
And I truly believed that for a long period of time. It's only being a single parent realising what she did. You know, when they say the guys at work, women staying at home and looking after the kids and running the house and shopping, that is a job. That's a full-time job.
Yeah, 100%.
I would rather, knowing what I have to do now, I would rather go to work than be a stay-at-home mum. And I take my hat off to them that what they do, and I think men do take that bit for granted because it seems...
I wouldn't be able to do what I do without Jen. Simple as that. And I'm not going to hide the fact. I'm not going to gloss over it. She has enabled me to go and do things that I wouldn't be able to do if she wasn't there. Simple
Not a
as
bad way
that.
of looking at it.
Simple as that.
It's definitely not a bad way of looking at it. Okay, fishing, mental health,
Yep.
Tinder, well, dating apps. There are other dating apps. So do you reckon...
There we go. Come on.
Where do you think you would be if you didn't have fishing? What other stuff would you use if you wasn't using fishing to help with your mental health?
I can tell you what I did,
Okay.
but it's not what I would do now.
Is that because you know better?
Yeah.
Okay.
I drank.
Mm-hmm.
A lot.
Is that for your way of hiding from, I say hiding, or I suppose it's self-medicating in a way, isn't
Yeah.
it?
And it wasn't, if it wasn't for one of my closest friends who physically dragged me to the doctors, that would have continued.
So so on your journey then, you've been quite unfortunate and fortunate all at the same time, right?
Yeah. If it wasn't for my support network, friends, family, I wouldn't want to say for definite what would have happened. I'm just very grateful I've got a very solid, small circle of trusted friends.
So somebody right now that may be watching this at home, that's in a very dark place,
Yeah.
hasn't got what you've got, right, what advice would you give them? What would you tell them to do? They're drinking or doing other stuff, other things to help get through, self-medicating, all sorts of stuff that you are damaging. What advice would you give them?
Speak to that one person you trust.
It's not a bad way of looking at it.
That one person, you speak to them, they could be the difference of pushing you in the right direction towards help. And that's all it will take. All it can take is that simple little, mate, you need to go that way.
Yeah,
And if
they're
you don't
nudging
go
in the right
If you
direction.
don't go that way, I'm dragging you that way.
Yeah, see, you got tracked.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got
Here's
tracked.
the bottom line. Don't get me wrong. There was multiple people before that happened that were saying, mate, you need to go get help. You need to go speak to people. You need to do this. You need to do that. I was like, leave me alone. Go away. I know what I'm doing. I'm fine. I'm all right.
Do you think that was because you were hiding from it and it's a typical man's world? Like, no, I can deal with it.
Yeah, and other factors.
Go on, in the sense of...
Well, I mean, I'm still currently serving within the British Armed Forces, within the RAF regiment. You don't want to admit that you're struggling. Even though it's changing, and it is slowly changing, and it's progressively getting better and better within all the armed forces, that people need that help. There is still some form of stigma. I know for a fact that coming to do this, I'm opening myself up to comments, other people's opinions and views. But sorry, but I'm living proof that if you go and get that help, or you're made to go and get that help, it works.
I agree with that. So some of the people, obviously yourself, a few of the other guys in the armed forces that I'm helping, I don't think it's quite... I wouldn't even say it's 50% where it needs to be. From being an outsider and never being in the forces, from certain things like me and you have spoken about and other... I think they could be doing a lot more. But I just don't think they know how completely.
I think it's going to change now, but I think a lot of that is down to the generation of individuals that are now joining. Whereas before, it was a man's world. You had to man up and fit in.
Yeah.
Do as you're told. Not saying it's not like that now, but it's a different generation. Obviously, there's a lot more social media. There's a lot more awareness. There's a lot more people out there wanting to help.
Yeah, I think men do not talk. I think women, again, hold the power. I'm not saying that they're the better at mental, but they can talk to each other.
Yeah.
Whereas men don't talk.
No.
They don't say anything to anybody. They want to be... I don't know what the word is. For me, it was a weakness. I saw it as a weakness in the job that I was in, and obviously I'm trying to relate this to your job. It is a weakness because...
You'd only talk about it to your peers.
Would you know? So I never did.
Because certain incidents and things that happened, it's easier to talk to people that were there than someone that wasn't. But you didn't want to be that weak link.
Yeah, because obviously when people think of mental health, it's... I would say they see it as a weakness rather than I now, going through what I've been through, and other people, I see it as it can be used as a strength.
Yeah, I mean, well, ultimately, it's like I tried to hide it and hide it and hide it to protect my career. Because from the age of 18, it's all I've known.
So you've been in the forces since you're 18?
Yeah.
And how old are you now?
38.
Wow.
Yeah. It's all I've known.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't a career, it was a life. And I think one of the biggest reasons why we probably didn't talk about it loads was because we was constantly deployed. You'd go through your basic training, you go to your squadron or wherever it may be, you do your pre-deployment training, you deploy. You'd come back, have a bit of leave, start training again, go away again. It was constant.
So how many times, is it a tour, is that what it's called?
Yeah.
How many tours have you done?
I did 7 in the end.
7?
Yeah.
7 tours.
And don't get me wrong, there are blokes out there that have done a hell of a lot more than me.
And do you think that's... So just even the being away from home and being in a war zone, I suppose that's got to have some... Did they do anything mental health-wise before? Obviously, I know you've got to be careful, you're still serving at the moment, but do you think going... Obviously, I imagine when you first joined, you never even thought about mental health, and you didn't realise... A bit like myself, when you did the security industry, you just see it as normal. I guarantee you, most of the doormen that I know, one guy in particular will go, yeah, it's right, that's normal. And we still... It does still feel normal, but when you look at what the rest of society goes through, and like certain, that it's not normal.
No.
It is a different, especially the armed forces, and you've got to take the hat. Some of the places that you guys have been, I don't think many people would even want to even do 24 hours, let alone, how long are you deployed for?
The tour's changed, so anywhere between 6 and 7 months at a time.
In a war zone?
Technically, yeah.
Technically, wow. See, yeah.
So obviously, depending on where you are within that country, is dependent on the level of violence.
Oh, okay, I see what you mean.
So certain areas of the country, or countries, I should say, were more hostile than other parts.
So would you be sent into? So yes. So that's the bit.
And it was all very much dependent on
what skill level that unit was at.
No, not well. Essentially, yes. And what cap badge you were. Each individual unit had their own roles.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So without going massively into depth, each unit will have a specific role and skill set that which they will be utilised for.
And whether they need it here, here,
exactly.
Here.
Yeah,
right, okay, I get it. So, do you think that the armed forces could do some more to prepare you ready for you to go?
They are doing it.
But when you did your first one, was it different? As in what they?
Well, to be honest, I mean, the very first tour I did in 2005 was weird. Absolutely weird. Yes, we was out patrolling, was doing all that, all the stuff that we was doing. Quietest time I've ever been away.
Oh, really?
Not one thing happened. So all I'll say is, be careful what you wish for.
Okay, yeah.
Because the second tour, polar opposite.
So, yeah, but did they say... What I mean is, as in the armed forces, when you go and... Obviously, they've done all the training with you in the sense of preparing you, your job role, what you got to do. So, obviously, it's like an oiled machine that, like you just said, each part does their bit and it will just keep flowing, right?
Yeah.
But what did they do to prepare yourself for what you possibly could happen, as in not... As in mentally, not physically. Obviously, I know you're trained to deal with it.
Yeah, obviously, you've got all the physical training and aspects of that. There are mandatory briefs, everything that you have to go through. They do not send you in blind. They give you a broad spectrum skill set which you can take with you.
Oh, for the mental stuff that could happen.
They have to. So you have your pre-deployment briefs, what facilities are there, as in doctors, nurses, so on and so forth, and as and what's required when you're actually in theatre. And then afterwards, decompression.
And what's
where
that
then came in later on, where once you'd completed your tour, prior to coming back to the UK, you'd stop off, have 2-3 days where they're actually holding the decompression, and then fly back to the UK.
See, now I can be in a doorman, and I think there's many doormen that if you ever worked in a squaddy's town or anywhere there's a military base, some of these guys were coming straight off a tour, and you could see they were not right.
No, and
some of the stuff that it must have been through,
and the odd thing is, obviously, you've been away for that long anyway, so your body's not used to drinking alcohol.
Oh yeah, I never thought that.
So if you've gone, because all the tours are dry, you cannot drink. They're dry.
Oh really?
You're handling weapon systems.
Oh yeah, of course you're.
Right, you're out on patrol. You're dealing with situations that happen instantly. So it's dry, zero tolerance, no drinking. You come home after 6-7 months of not having a drink,
and then all of
a sudden you've had 3 or 4 pints. You're leathered.
I just found these guys were not all, but a good majority of them that had been to certain places in the world. They were very knowing now what it is. I can clearly relate, because obviously at the time I didn't even know what I was going through, but knowing what I know now, I could clearly.
They've been on high alert constantly.
They're
ready and waiting
still
for
in
fight.
fight and flight mode.
Yeah. They've just spent 6-7 months
on high
patrol,
alert,
waiting for something to happen, and when it happens, you have to react.
And that's I think because knowing it now, obviously your brain obviously naturally either goes in fight or flight, and obviously you boys are trained to fight, not run away. You're trained to go towards what needs to happen, and to be let out straight from, oh, okay, you're in the war zone, go and have a drink.
Yeah.
There's still not enough. See, I never knew they did. What did you call it? Decompression.
Yeah.
See, I think that, I'm quite, because just watching and being there and seeing what these kiddies that, like, they were emotional, some of them. Like, when they'd kicked off, and because they were used to a war zone, they're literally beating some people. They've got into a fight, and they're like, it's not like they're trying to have a like best man win cut. They're trying to kill them. And then they get upset. You don't understand what I've seen, and you don't understand what I've done for this country, and all the rest of it. And I'm like, I get that, but that doesn't give you the right. You're still in soldier mode. You've come, and that's the bit where I was so angry that you should never have let these kiddies out straight away, from the door.
This is where obviously it is all changing.
Yeah, which I think is for the best, not because these kiddies. You guys have done an amazing job to then ruin everything because you're still in fight mode.
Well, if I remember correctly, the first excuse me, intervention of mental health and how an incident has affected or possibly will affect. If I remember correctly, the first time I experienced that interjection and that intervention, was 2007 on my second tour. And that's when the trim process came into play. So that element there of seeing where people are at started for me at that point.
Okay.
And then from there onwards, we just progressed to do more and more and more. It's like now there's mental health first aiders, everything that they're pushing through, and is a set requirement to have.
Which I think is a definitely good thing.
100%.
Yeah, because the education I got from doing that course and being trained and the people I've helped with it even helped me knowing that you couldn't even have a panic attack longer than 25 minutes.
Yeah, which I know, I mean, you've said that a few times on other podcasts. It's, you learn from obviously doing the courses, and the main reason why I went to do it was to help myself.
So do you think the stigma needs to... How would you stop the stigma? Because that's the key part, right?
This is where it becomes difficult, though, because you can either push it out there and it be a massive positive that this stigma needs to be broken, it needs to change, or it's going to completely backfire.
Well, obviously, we've been working together for a little while now. We've had in both directions.
Yeah,
right?
exactly, yeah.
Where people have used it as a sounding stand.
Yes.
To get what they want. And other people supporting it. But I think that's life, though, sometimes.
I think ultimately, the main thing, as long as your intention is for the good and you're promoting the correct things at the correct time in order to do good, that's the main thing. As soon as it becomes personal gain, that's when it's wrong.
I 100% agree with that. And that's where we've been at for a little while, in the sense of people have tried to use what we're putting together, from the fishing to the football to the therapist to everything we're doing, is try to use it for their own money gains.
Yes.
And not for what we're trying to set it up. But on that note, we're going to end it there, because obviously I don't want to go too far into...
Okay.
Because obviously we've got the Monday one, and obviously otherwise we're going to end up going back.
Are you definitely coming Monday, are you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I see, yes.
No, I don't know if I'm staying.
Well, the gates open dead early in the morning, so you'll be able to get back for the kids. It's fine. Just saying.
You haven't seen me tired and grumpy yet, have you? Oh, it's not good.
Well, we're going to do a barbecue and everything that night, so... That's another thing, but that's another part of it. It's the social element.
Yeah, see, now that bit I'm looking forward to, having, having a crack, learning.
2 or 3 of us, fishing, doing a bit of filming.
I don't know, I might actually end up becoming a fisherman. I don't know.
You won't give up the gym.
Well, yeah, I know loads of people that do both. Well, literally, Tim was probably who watches this. He does both. He does bodybuilding.
Yep.
Because I can't believe he preps all his food and bits and pieces. But he has said recently he would rather be fishing than doing the gym. But he does both. I think he's got the best of both worlds, really. He does the gym and the fishing. But on that note, we're going to hold the rest of it, one, till we're doing the fishing.
Okay.
Two, obviously, we're going to talk to Jen about the living with you. And obviously follow up on
I don't know what's going to be worse. You spending an overnight on the bank, or finding out what Jen actually thinks.
Oh, yeah, that could be a scary moment for you, right? No, I'd rather she was just tell the truth. I know she's going to. I think she'll be brutally honest.
Yeah, she is. That's the best way to be. Brutally honest, because if you're not...
Because I have seen you, obviously, when certain things have triggered you, even though I know not how to push in the wrong direction, okay, when you're ready, you will come and bring the information when you're in the right place. But for her to have to live with you, I can imagine some days is hard work.
Yeah. And at that point, she'll be like, just go fishing.
Just get out the house.
No, that's what she go fishing.
Is that her way of telling you to piss off?
Yeah, pretty much.
Piss off. Go on.
Yeah.
Get out.
I've got the kids. See ya.
See you later. Yeah, because she obviously knows, she's learned that to get the life and everything you both want is you just go fishing. And on that note, boys and girls, we're going to end it there. But obviously also stay tuned for the online dating and what it's like to live with somebody with PTSD.
Enjoy.